in.
Well, I did come in before,
I was
but
here.
yeah, it was an empty house.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm worth.
I was 3 minutes early,
I'm worth
so
nothing. It was empty.
Tom Coughlin time.
yeah, that wasn't even Coughlin time. It was just 3 minutes.
No, he's 5, right?
Jim, the switch from Shanahan to Sarkisian, is their offense much different under Sarkisian as far as what they're trying to do and everything than it was under Shanahan?
I mean, there's going to be changes to every team every year, so it's hard to say which changes would have been made even if their offense coordinator had stayed the same. But they're a little bit different than last year. Every team's going to be a little bit different from year to year. There's going to be some things you do well, some things that that you put in the off season, some things that maybe fit your personality a little bit more. You know, there's still a lot of challenges with that team. I mean, it goes well beyond a player like Julio Jones. It goes well beyond the quarterback. You know, their tight end is having a great year. Their running backs, if you combine the running back stats, you're talking about a first team All-Pro, 1,500 yards, I think 12 touchdowns. You know, so we have to look at it that way, and there's going to be a lot of challenges this week.
One of the keys to stopping Julio last year was or at least slowing him, was that you guys didn't allow him to do much after the catch. You kind of played him soft, and you really didn't double him a lot. Was that just one way to beat him, or is that the only way to
Well, I think I think here's the point. The point is to try to win the game. I mean, and you know, I think that we have to keep our eye on that. You know, if Julio Jones has 350 yards receiving, and we win the game, that's what it took to win the game. If he has 10 yards receiving for the game-winning touchdown, man, that wasn't enough. You know, so I think you have to look at it that way and say, how do you stop their offense? How do you minimize their scoring, and not just concentrate on one player? Because, like I said before, they do have other players that are that are threats. You know, Sanu has been a good player over a consistently good player for a long period of time. Their tight ends really developed. Both backs can catch the ball out of the backfield. Pro Bowl quarterback. You know, it's not just a one-man team.
What do you feel like your run defense is? I know the numbers are up a little against you, but you faced obviously some really good backs later in the season. And how much do you kind of need that aspect?
You know, we always want to stop the run, but again, I sort of refer back to what I said before. You know, if a team puts 350 yards rushing on us and we win the game, you know. Well, but that's again, that's our number one goal is to win the game, whatever it takes. You know, and honestly, this game will stand on its own. We're not going to get graded on the curve because we were good stopping the run in a previous game or we were poor stopping the run in a previous game. You know, it's a new season. Playoff games stand on their own. You know, it's a single elimination tournament. And, you know, I use a lot of analogies, but you can be the best free throw shooting team in college basketball and you get into a NCAA game and you can't hit the iron, or you hit too much iron and you have a bad day, you lose the game. You can't say, well, we were good during the regular season. I mean, it puts urgency on us. I like that. And we're going to have to do a good job stopping the run, mainly because of the talent they have there. But, again, it has nothing to do with, you know, last week. It has nothing to do with 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks or, you know, whatever. It's about this week and this opponent.
Jim, we always factor in home field advantage. How much of an effect can this crowd have on your defense?
Well, I mean, I think you look side by side, our home games and road games, we're significantly better at home. That's why it was important for us to get home field advantage. You know, you take the travel out of the equation. You know, it's tough on opponents when the fans are loud. I know our fans will be loud. It's tough on the opponents in a hostile, you know, environment. You know, and that's what Philly is. That's what the Link is. It's been a great home field advantage for us over the course of the season, and you know, it's not just the players on the field. You know, the fans in the stands are going to mean an awful lot to coming out with a victory on Sunday or Saturday.
As far as last week, what was the balancing act like, having head coaching interest elsewhere and preparing here?
There was no balancing. I mean, we have enough work here. You know, there were 3 teams that we could play, and we prepared for all 3 of them.
What happened with the Giants interview? Apparently that didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you guys' need to ask stuff like that, but I'm just going to answer questions about the Falcons.
Jim, speaking of, you mentioned the change in the coordinators. Is it fair to say that they tried at least to be more run-heavy this year as one of the changes?
I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that because I mean, you'd have to ask them that.
Well, I meant as far as what you've seen on film, has it been more of a run-heavy offense as opposed to a pass-heavy?
I don't know what the numbers say. Like I said, you combine both of those running backs. Now, you know, Tavon was hurt a little bit last year, so they didn't, I don't think we saw him in our game here. But again, combine both of those guys. I mean, if we were getting ready to play a running back that was 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, I hope I'm right on that. I think it's like 5 and 7, I think, on those two guys with touchdowns. But if we were getting ready to face that guy, that's all. We wouldn't have got one question about Julio Jones. It would have been all about that. So that's sort of the only thing I can take. I mean, what approach they've taken, I don't know what approach they're going to take. I don't know. We need to be ready for it, and we need to come up with a good performance in order to get the win.
In that game last year, I think they were 2 of 11 on third downs, and their third down average to go, I think, was 9.9 yards. What did you do on the early downs that allowed you to get those third down situations?
I don't know. We were just trying to win, you know, each series, try to find a way to force a stop. I mean, they came in as a really high-scoring offense. They were number 1 in the NFL in scoring, and that was really our only focus, is try to limit scoring. Like I've said this a million times, only 2 things really matter to me as far as stats, and that's points allowed and takeaways. Because points allowed, obviously, you're trying to minimize scoring, and takeaways, you can help your offense by either giving them a short field or giving them the ball back or even scoring on defense. So, you know, those are sort of the only things. We're a pretty good third down team. Some of that will have to do with being third and long. I mean, when it's third down and 3, it opens up an awful lot of their offense. Third down and 9.9. You didn't research that. It was. I said. You said you thought it was 9.9. It was researched. Yeah, if it's 9.9, obviously, you know, you can eliminate a lot of routes, and that's a lot what third down is. You know, you don't defend the same routes on 3rd and 12 as you do on 3rd and 2. But it doesn't mean on 3rd and 2 they can't throw the ball 12 yards. But you know, on 3rd and 12, if they throw it 2, you just got to make a tackle, and you're going to be off the field. So it does benefit us to have teams 3rd and long, and you know, I think you've seen that a few times this year. When we put teams behind the chains, we can make it tough on them. We're a good pass rush team. We're a good tackling team. When we do those things, it's going to be hard to convert 3rd and long.
To follow up too, also in some of those 3rd and longs, you have the opportunity to blitz. I think last year you blitzed right around 33% of the time when Matt Ryan was in there.
Oh, I thought you said over the course of the year.
No.
Wow, that's like way high.
Yeah. How is he? How is he against the blitz typically?
He's a smart guy. I mean, they're a very good offensive protection team as far as picking up blitzes. You know, I mean, blitz is not a whole lot different than pass rush. You can't expect to have guys free. You know, if you're expecting to get guys free, you're in the wrong business, because the only way you can really get a guy free is to bring more than they can block, and there's some risk inherent to that. But you know, blitz is really all about you know, guys winning one-on-ones, and you know, when you do that, then your blitz game is going to be effective. And I'm not just talking about one-on-ones in pass rush. I'm talking about one-on-ones in coverage too. Both of those go hand in hand.
What kind of freedom do they give Matt Ryan at the line of scrimmage? How much does he check out of plays or change things up based on moves of the defense?
Yeah, all quarterbacks have, you know, a lot of different ways to check run the pass and run the run. You know, make protection changes. He's a veteran quarterback. You know, he's that offense has been in his hands for a long time. I don't think any of that's changed.
Like, what's it mean to you as a coach to coach in the playoffs, to get to the playoffs?
You know, I think we have to keep our eye on the fact that it's the next game to play. You know, I mean, the rules aren't going to change. You know, the only thing that changes is it's single elimination, but it's still going to be a 60-minute game. Still going to be 10 yards for a first down. You know, I mean, we can get Gene Hackman to come in and measure, make sure it's 10 feet rim. But you know, there's a reason that that scene in Hoosiers rung so true to people, because the point was, hey, this is the same as you know, same as the other games that we've played, and you know, you can't play out of character. You know, you can't try to do too much, both as a play caller and as a player. You know, you have to trust what got you there. But there is an urgency to playing and knowing that if you don't win, you're not going to be able to continue ahead. And that dynamic isn't there during the regular season.
Was that an experience that you had to go through the first time to truly appreciate?
No, I think we always knew that if we lost it, we were out. Sorry, I'm wise ass half the time.
The first time that you did it, was it a natural experience for you? Something that you grew from?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know how to answer that question. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, the playoffs are a thing that you, you know, that you work for all season. You know, I'm sure every team in the NFL, you know, their beginning goal is to be able to make the playoffs, because it's the only way you can. The punch ticket for the playoffs gives you a chance to play for a championship. You know, so I think everybody understands the urgency of it, and everybody is, you know, I mean, I don't think it catches anybody by surprise, whether it's the urgency, how hard it is to get here, you know, and also you're playing good teams when you're in the playoffs. You know, sometimes over the course of the season, you might play a team that's struggling or a team that might be out of it or something like that. You know, when you get to the playoffs, it's all the good teams that are left, all the teams that earned it just like you did. And you know, I think that's what's special about it.
Jim, this is not a specific question about the Giants or anything, but just in general, is there a challenge inherent in this time of year, just, you know, compartmentalizing your future? I mean, it's obviously a lot of big things happening, and maintaining the focus that you need on the task at hand.
Yeah, nice try.
You guys.
Only Atlanta. You know, I think it's not fair to our players or anything else to talk about anything else. I mean, we just talk about how urgent this is, and you know, everything else. I mean, I think that that's the respect that that game has from my point of view.
What did last year's game mean for Jalen Mills in terms of his development? It was the first time, I mean, you really, I mean, he started and he played a lot on Julio.
I don't know. You probably have to ask him that. You know, I mean, our confidence in Jalen started in OTAs and rookie camp and training camp, just seeing how competitive he was, and knowing that there weren't situations that were too big. And when you had a marquee receiver, a marquee team come here to Philly last year, he was ready for that challenge. And it wasn't because he was up that week or, you know, something somebody said to him that week. It was because the way he prepared over the course of the year and the course of training camp. He's an improved player this year. I know that. His technique is better. He's more consistent. Every corner is going to have to battle through rough spots. I mean, just inherent to the position. You're going to give up a completion. You're going to get beaten, and I really like Jalen's ability to respond to that. I think that's something that's in him, and that wasn't new last year, and that wasn't new this year. I think he's probably always been that way.
You guys are underdogs. It's the first time the number one seed is an underdog in a divisional round. Are you going to use that?
Unless we start the game down, no. I mean, the game's going to start 0-0. You know, I mean, that stuff makes for good talk and, you know, TV, and, you know, a lot of people have a lot of programming to fill. But, you know, all year, I have no idea if we've been favorites or underdogs the whole year. It's not going to change now. And it really doesn't change the game. The game's going to be about preparing well. The game's going to be about, you know, executing on Saturday. I had to get used to saying Saturday, but executing on Saturday. And the teams that do that, the best are going to win, not the team that got picked by, you know, by the most number of analysts or experts, or, you know, what the simulation games say, or, you know, any of that stuff. I mean, that has zero bearing on the game for us.
Jim, Ryan did a good job this last game of really kind of escaping the pass rush.
are stepping up. Will it be more important maybe than those five to have a pretty good push up the middle?
Yeah, push up the middle is huge because it keeps your outside pass rushers alive. So that's always important to us. I think Matt Ryan goes a little bit under the radar as far as having escapability. People really don't think of him the same way that you would think, obviously, of some of the more mobile quarterbacks. But he's good at feeling spots in the pocket and being able to step up and slide one way or slide another. He scrambled for a couple big first downs late this season. So it's always something that we have to do. Number one, putting pressure on the quarterback, but also, putting pressure on that keeps everybody alive, so to speak. If you can have the great pass rush outside, if the quarterback can step up, you're not going to get him. You can have great inside pass rush. If you don't have any edge pressure, he can escape outside. It's a 4-man group when it comes to 4-man rush. It's a 5 or 6-man group when it comes to blitz. Every man needs to do his job for it to be effective.
Last one for a second. He's been aggressive, maybe overly aggressive at times late in the season. How much have you had conversations with him about knowing when to be aggressive, knowing when to be smart, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, that goes to it. I mean, it goes to the cornerback position in general. But I think that, there's you can go overboard either way. You can play too conservative and look terrible. You can play too aggressive and look terrible. I think there's a lot of experience that goes into it, and Jalen has got a little bit of that. We're excited to have him on the field, and he's done a good job for us this year. I think he'll continue to do a good job.
With Chris Long, now with this whole season under his belt, how has his addition to the defensive line impacted what you can do, or what that unit can do throughout the season going to playoffs?
Chris is a veteran player. You talk about playoffs, you talk about, field questions about the urgency of playoffs and things like that. Chris is a guy that didn't have that through most of his career. And then last year he got to experience that. Last year he got to, make it all the way through and win a championship. We have a couple other guys, that have been there. Guys like Malcolm and guys like Patrick Robinson, Torrey Smith, Ellerby. Trying to think of some other guys. I'm sure there's other ones that I'm missing. But that experience means an awful lot to a team. Because there's a lot of other guys in the room that haven't been through that. So I think that perspective can help. But what helps the most is Chris is a good football player. He's been active in the pass rush. He's caused some big turnovers for us this year. Those are the things that are going to mean something in this game. It's good to, help your experience and help your locker room and everything else during the week. But, when we huddle, when Atlanta breaks the huddle, he's not going to whisper, anything about his experiences last year or anything else. It's going to be him putting his hand in the ground and rushing the passer and playing the run and those things. And Chris has done a good job for us this year doing those things. Thanks, guys.